This is day 106 of Journey Through the Bible. It's actually the beginning of the 22nd week of this study. We will this week review Ecclesiastes, the Song of Solomon, and begin to focus on the prophets by looking at the first 44 chapters of Isaiah. Ecclesiastes is written in a form of 4 sermons, plus some final commentary or summary statements. Ecclesiastes wrestles with the question of the meaning of life. It takes its name from the Greek word Ecclesiastes, meaning convener of an assembly. The book is often referred to by its Hebrew name, which means preacher or speaker. The second verse of Ecclesiastes eloquently summarizes the underlining theme of the book. Vanity of vanities, or meaningless. Utter meaningless. Everything is meaningless. Solomon says that all human achievements are empty and disappointing when pursued as ends in themselves. There are many passages in Ecclesiastes that appear to be pessimistic and depressing because they point out the folly of pursuing selfish goals. One after the other, the author shows how wisdom, pleasure, hard work, popularity, wealth, and fame fail to bring a lasting satisfaction. But the book ends on a triumphant note as the reader is asked to consider life's highest good. Chapter 12, verse 13. The end of the matter, after all has been heard, fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. King Solomon of Israel, a ruler noted for his great wisdom and vast riches, is the author of Ecclesiastes. Evidence for this is strong, since Solomon fits the author's description of himself as given in the book. I, the preacher, was king over Israel and Jerusalem, and I set my heart to seek and search out by wisdom concerning all that is done under heaven. The book was probably written sometime during his long reign of 40 years, from 970 to 931 BC. King Solomon amassed great riches during his long reign. He also developed a great reputation as a man of wisdom. He must have written Ecclesiastes as he looked back over his life and reflected on the meaning of all of his accomplishments. The book of Ecclesiastes has a powerful message for our selfish, materialistic age. It teaches that great accomplishments and earthly possessions alone do not bring lasting happiness. True satisfaction comes from serving God and following his will for our lives. But another important truth from Ecclesiastes, which we often overlook, is that life is to be enjoyed. The preacher of this book repeats this truth several times so it does not escape our attention. For example, in chapter 3, verse 12 and 13, we read, I perceive that there is nothing better for them than to be joyful and to do good as long as they live. Also that everyone should eat and drink and take pleasure in all his toil. This is God's gift to man. God wants us to enjoy life's simple pleasures. Our grateful acceptance of his daily blessings can bring a sense of joy and fulfillment to our lives. One of the most moving passages in the Bible is a poem from Ecclesiastes in chapter 3 on the proper time for all events, a time to be born, a time to die, and so forth. This text, if taken seriously, can restore balance to our living. You'll find many significant thoughts in this book and its conclusion that without God in charge, life is a big collection of worthless possessions and events. Let me read from that 12th final chapter. Remember also your Creator in the days of your youth, before the evil days come and the years draw near, of which you will say, I have no pleasure in them. Verse 9, besides being wise, the preacher also taught the people knowledge, weighing and studying and arranging many proverbs with great care. The preacher sought to find words of delight, and uprightly he wrote words of truth. Then verse 13, the end of the matter, all has been heard. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God will bring every deed into judgment, and every secret thing, whether good or evil.